Hello, welcome back. Today is week number 5, and we are going to start that week with our main important presentation. In this week, we're expected to do a writing assessment at the end of the week. So please start booking your appointment with me. So those are writing assessment that has to do with filling up application form for a college program. So I'm going to take you through a PowerPoint presentation, and then we'll talk a little bit about, and we're going to be watching a video today. We also have some grammar practice. We'll see what fits in our video, and then we'll resume on to tomorrow's video, which is a Tuesday video. Alrighty, so let's get started on that. So today I'm going to welcome you into the Mapping Your Career in Canada and Mapping Your Education. Our course and main goals here is to understand new vocabulary related to admission form. So we are trying to complete an admission form, an application that will allow us to enter a college. So what are some, so we talk about admission application. So admission means entering and application means form. So admission application are forms that allow you to enter a college. So they require certain information to be filled up. And today I'm going to take you through some words that can help us fill these words out. So let's learn new vocab. When you are filling an application, the first thing you're going to be asked about personal information. Things that are related to who you are. So first one would be your first name, as you guessed it, and this is your given name, the name that people call you. In my case, it's May, and my last name, in that case, it's my family name, and that's Ahmed. My middle name will be something that your dad, it could be your dad's name, and in this case, it's the name that falls in between your first name and your last name. Now you also have something called preferred name. They might be asking if there's another first name that you prefer to be called by. In most cases, people don't have preferred names. The next thing you'll be asked about is your address. This is the detail for the place where you live. And if you were to live in a house here in Canada, we start with the house number. Then that follows by the name of the street, the name of your city, your province, and your postal code. And if you to live in an apartment, you start with your apartment number, your building number, the name of the street, the city, province, and your postal code. So same format, this is how you write your address. Then it goes through the gender, which is your biological gender, female, women, or male, man. And then it takes you through something called indigenous, background. So they want to know your ethnicity, meaning where you come from. If you are a native to this country, you'll be called indigenous, okay? And indigenous people fall into 3 groups. You have the First Nation, you have the Inuit, and then you have the Métis. I'm going to talk about First Nations. So those are people that has been native to this land, but they live all over North America. You'll find some in the USA, you'll find some in Mexico, and you'll find, of course, some here in Canada, everywhere in Canada. Inuit are specific to the Arctic. So those are native people or indigenous people that have lived in the Arctic, and they live in igloos, which is the small little houses that are made of ice. And they also feed on seals and whales and other animals that are native to that part of the world. So in the Arctic. Métis are people that come from either a native background mixed with European background. So their mom might be First Nation and their dad might be French, or their mom might be Inuit and their dad is British, right? So their grandkids that are mixed between Inuit and First Nation, and of course European settlers, are called Métis. So any of these groups are called indigenous people, and in an application they will be asking you if you belong to an indigenous group. In my case, no, so it might be your case as well. Origin, that's where you are originated from. So the country where you're born, the country where you spent most of your childhood in, where you were born or raised. In my case, it could be, any country that you are born in or have lived in. Status, your official classification given to a country or a person, organization, determining the right or responsibility. So in that case, your status in Canada, you could be permanent residence, you could be citizenship, you could be a work permanent or a student visa. It all depends. Language of correspondence will be asking about the language and the method in which they would communicate to you. Correspond means respond back. So do you want them to speak to you in English or French? Do they want you to be contacted through your email, your phone number, or a letter that comes to your mail with your address? So language correspondence is talking about how you want them to communicate the information to you. Okay. Now, after they ask you about your personal information, then they ask you about your academic background. That includes your secondary education. Secondary education talks about your high school learning, and that goes from grade 9 all the way to grade 12. And here in Canada, we call it OSSD, Ontario Secondary School Diploma. It could be international, so it could be from back home. They might want to know the name of the school you've been to, your name of your high school, as well as the country and any related information. Past secondary education talks about whatever you had taken after high school, because the word past means after. So that could be any college certification or any college or college diploma or university degree. Yeah. Okay. The word institution talks about the building or the place of learning. So if I say institution, I mean a college or a university. Here in Hamilton, an institution, one of the institutions for learning is Mohawk College, and another one is McMaster University. Those are two separate institutions. When we talk about program, specialized courses for teaching, accounting, practical nursing, and so on. So any program you have chosen in to learn. Then they might ask you about your employment background. So they want to know if you have any related work experience. So if you're applying to nursing, have you worked as a nurse back home? That is kind of important. They might ask you for the starting date, the ending date, the description, which is what kind of job you did there, and maybe asking about the country where you have worked. So all of these are similar information. So let's go through this quickly and I'll answer regarding myself. So my origin, I am from Egypt. My status, I am Canadian citizen. My program of interest, maybe computer science at Mohawk College. NA always means not applicable, right? Not applicable. That's when you don't have an answer to give. Secondary education, I went to Johnny MacDonald High School in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My middle name is A, initial A. My gender is female. My employment is English teacher. My indigenous, no, of course I'm not First Nation, I'm not Inuit, or I'm not Métis. My institution that I'm interested in is maybe Mohawk College. My past secondary education, I had a degree from McMaster and Bachelor of Science. My last name is Ahmed. My address is 44 Cittadella Boulevard, Hamilton, Ontario, L0R1P0. My middle name is A. My preferred name, none, or NA, not applicable. And my language of correspondence, of course, I want them to speak to me in English and I want them to send me an email at my email, which is miss.may.ahmed@gmail.com. Alrighty, so this is my example and I hope this was helpful for you. My next item that I want to do before my next video is I want to go back to my Teams And I want to visit day 1 in my teams because I would like to take you through some WH review that we would want to do before we get any further more with our application. So I would leave this. This is week 5, day 1. Please visit and complete this on your own. I'll just take you through some of the questions. So we talked about WH. We know that those are words that require a specific answer. When we have when, we request time from the listener, right? So I have this first example is I go to the gym every weekend. It talks about time, right? So I might ask a question like, when do you go to the gym? And you can notice the WH when. And so the next question says, I usually eat a sandwich for lunch. So I'm asking about a thing. It's a sandwich, right? It's it. When I'm requesting information about a thing, I would use the word what. So in this case, what do you eat for lunch? The next one, my daughter is 3 years old. Okay, so I'm trying to find out about the age. Usually when we're trying to talk about the age, we say the word how old. So in this case, how old is your daughter? Okay, now how the hotel cost $150 a night. I'm now requesting information about money, and money is uncountable. So in that case, go ahead and guess what could this one be? Yes, good job. She is the teacher. Okay, so I'm trying to find about information about a person, right? So what word would I use? Okay, great. Maybe you can do the rest ones on your own. Just let me do the last one with you. I finished my homework 2 days ago. Okay, yes, you're right. Okay, how long?